Welcome to the party. I'm not here right now, but I want you to listen very carefully. These guys are very funny, so pay attention. Enough talk. It's showtime.
Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. My name is Steve, my co-host is Pete.
Hello.
This episode we are talking about the 1985 classic film starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Commando.
We are. And jokingly, all week on social media, I've been saying that we're going Commando. And I almost am.
Please explain for the listeners.
Okay. I've just told Steve this. He nearly left in disgust. So I'm having a new bathroom fitted, which means my dining room is full of bathroom stuff, and that's where I usually record. So I've moved to the attic, which is quite warm. So the windows have been closed. So it's a very hot room. So this is the first Bags of Action where I'm wearing boxer shorts rather than trousers.
And that is too much information, listeners.
Like an old school newsreader.
Under the desk wearing no trousers.
Yeah, exactly. No one ever knew. No one ever knew.
No, we'd never know. We never know. Anyway, moving swiftly on, we're going to talk about this film, which I've seen, I think, about 27 times. Yeah.
Can I tell you how many times I've seen it, including this time?
Go on.
Twice.
That's it?
Yeah.
What?
I watched this when it came out on video.
Yeah.
With my nan.
Oh, my God. Right.
Because I know we've talked before how, I'd go to my nan's flat and she'd go with me to the video shop to get out 15 and 18 films when I was younger.
Yep.
So I thought we watched Raw Deal together, but as soon as I saw a table leg go through Bill Duke's chest, I realised it was actually Commando that I watched with my nan.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, she liked it.
Good. What's not to like? I've seen this film a lot of times. I can quote most of it.
Really?
Line for line. There's all the favourite scenes. A lot of the lines that people quote from Arnie came from this.
Yeah, and there's a lot of scenes that I've misremembered and didn't realise were from this film. I think, yeah, because this is one of his earlier ones, really. It's when he's kind of first starting out as a leading man.
Here's the interesting thing, though. So this film came out in 1985, right? How old do you think Arnie was at the time when this film came out, roughly?
28?
He was 38 years old.
What? Shut up. I think he works out.
No, but if you can look at it, Arnie was born in 1947, and this came out in 1985.
Bloody hell.
So he was 38, 39-ish, thereabouts, give or take the months. I don't know what month he was born in.
Fair play.
So that's not too far off my current age. And if I could look even a little bit like him at the start of this film, where he's walking down a forest path carrying a tree, which I like to believe is an Austrian oak. I'm sure it's not.
Nice.
But given that's what everyone calls him, I just like to believe it's an oak tree on one shoulder with huge bulging muscles. I'm thinking, you know what? He looks pretty damn good for 38. He looks pretty damn good for 70 now.
I suppose it makes sense. He had a whole career before acting, so I guess, and then another political career after them. But he's done more in his lifetime than most people could do in 4 lifetimes, really. Yeah,
because he started off doing the Mr. Universe stuff and all the weightlifting, and then he got some of the early films that were quite poor. Then he did all the kind of the Conan films, I think. Those were early, and then he got this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's. But even so, it's still quite early.
Yeah, it is. And I think there are some things in here where he's just kind of finding his way as a leading man, I think. So this is directed by a director called Mark L. Lester,
right?
Who I know from Showdown in Little Tokyo.
Okay.
And also a film called SIS Extreme Justice, which starring Scott Glenn and Lou Diamond Phillips, that we're going to have to do one of these days.
Okay.
If I can find a copy.
Not seen it.
It was a straight-to-video that I really liked in the early 90s. And this was written by Jeff Loeb, from people who know from comics, and the exec producer on all the Marvel TV shows.
Yep.
And also Steven D'Souza, who has a very strong track record, despite, I think, directing Street Fighter, who he wrote Die Hard, 48 Hours, and reteamed with Arnie later for Running Man.
Right, okay, yes. So, yes, quite a good pedigree there. And then if you look at the cast, so obviously we've got Arnie. You've got his daughter, who's played by a very young, do you know the actress?
Alyssa Milano.
Correct, yes, Alyssa Milano, when she was about, 8, 10 maybe.
It was around this, not long before she was in Who's the Boss, I believe. Dave, remember that TV show?
I don't think I ever saw that.
Okay, she was in the sixth. But she was in that for many years.
Moving on. There's also people like Bill Duke, who we've seen in many films. We talked about in Predator.
Yeah, he's a bit like another Jesse Ventura in the way that he appears in a few of Arnie's films. I love Bill Duke.
He's brilliant. He's absolutely
generally
brilliant. I think didn't he pass away recently?
I hope not. What a way to tell me. Hang on.
I'll have to Google it now. But I think
this could be the Bill Duke Memorial episode, or not.
No, he's okay. He's okay. He's all right. Phew. He's all right. Phew. He's okay. He's 75. He's still
75 years old.
75 years
fine.
young.
He looks fine. Yes.
Okay, he's all right. But yes, there's other actors in there that I've seen in tons of stuff.
I think as well they cast a lot of very tall people just to make Arnie not look quite so tall, because Bill Duke is 6'4.5". But I don't think of him as being that tall because he's always in these kind of films against people that are mountains.
Yeah. It's so for those who've never seen this film, let's give them a very, very, very quick rundown.
Yeah, it shouldn't take long.
No, okay, so Arnie is a retired colonel in the army with special forces and black ops and blah, blah, blah. Some people kidnap his daughter.
Yep.
And in exchange for her safe return, which is a lie, that he is supposed to go and assassinate the president of this South African made-up country that he helped install.
Yeah.
And then the person that they got rid of, the dictator, will then take his rightful place as he sees it back in charge of this country. Yes.
Arius, played by Dan Hedaya.
I've seen him in tons of things.
Yeah, me too.
Tons and tons of things. He's a really good actor, actually. Yes, but of course, Arnie decides to do none of that and go on a one-man revenge mission to kill everybody. When I say everybody, it's like the Red Dwarf thing of everybody, Dave. Yes, everybody. Everybody, yes. Until they're all dead, deader than dead dogs in a dead ditch.
This is true. Now, this film has one of my favourite / not favourite openings ever.
Go on.
So you've got there's a scene that starts with bin men turning up. They're not really bin men. Bill Duke is not a bin man. And which kind of gives you the kind of build up. But then basically how you first see Arnie's character, who is called John Matrix, which is a great classic action hero name.
Yes.
It's just you're in the woods. There's 80s music. There's a very large man. You can't quite see who it is. And he's carrying a huge log, as you said, huge log. And then he's chopping with an axe. And this is a great moment. He's chopping with the axe and he sees a reflection. You think, oh, my God, is he being attacked already? No, it's his daughter. They've double bluffed you. And I have to say, the opening, this whole section feels, to cynical kind of 2018 eyes, it feels a little bit like a parody. But to 80s eyes, this was idyllic. This is, I'm a father with a daughter now, and at the time I was like, when I have a child, we're going to eat ice cream, we're going to learn martial arts, we're going to feed a deer. Apart from the guns, everything else is pretty much what I think. What every parent I think would want for their child. Yeah. But I think we spoke in the last episode when I mentioned this film is who originally was cast as Matrix and then replaced by Arnie.
Go on, remember? Remind me.
It was Gene Simmons from Kiss.
Yeah, okay. No.
I have a feeling that if he had been in it, we would not be doing this episode.
I really don't think, we would. I also think it wouldn't be the classic that it is, and Arnie would have just gone on and done something else instead. So it wouldn't have stopped him at all. Nothing will stop him.
No, yep. And there's one thing, we often talk in these shows, and when we do particularly the films from the 80s, about how much smoking there is,
Yes.
or how much nudity,
Yeah.
or how many computers that are only green. There's something in this film I noticed a lot. There's about 5 or 6 different plot points revolving around something which has become no longer seen in films.
Go on.
Payphones.
Ah, right. Yes.
Because I was just thinking, in a modern film, you just like, oh, there he is. There's the guy we're after. Mobile phone. To tell somebody. Here, they have to run across the airports to get to the payphone so they can ring somebody. And I'd forgotten how much of a kind of a plot crutch that used to be. There's quite a few scenes here where people are either on payphones, waiting to use payphones, or trying to use payphones.
Yes. I've recently been watching a BBC drama, The City in the City, that's set in this sort of alternate, almost 80s style world, and they all have payphones, and I mean, there are mobile phones, but they're not nearly as intrusive, and it's that thing of they're waiting for a call, so they go to the hotel room to wait for a call and things. It's really quite quaint. It's quite nice, actually.
It did make me a little bit nostalgic for not being available all the time to everybody.
You can always turn your phone off, Pete.
Apparently so. Someone's told me that rumour. I don't think my phone has an off button, but apparently they do. Apparently some models do have that.
Mine comes installed with the brick, which helps you turn it off. I'll send my brick over to yours too.
Yeah, please do. I will take it to my mountain hideaway.
Yes. So this film starts out very, very simply. It's a revenge film. He's going after everybody, and he goes after them one by one.
It really doesn't hang about.
No.
Does it? It's like, this is a man, he has a daughter. He used to be in the army. They're after him. And here they are. Because you get the guy who comes to tell him. And then, again, kind of modern brain kicking in. I've not seen it for ages. I was expecting the helicopter to fly off, 3 or 4 more scenes, and then they turn up. But I think the helicopter's still in sight.
Yes.
When the guys have turned up there, which made me suspicious that he might have dropped them off. But I don't think that's the story.
No, they followed him there, I think. That's the thing. Yes, and Matrix smelled them coming, of course.
He did.
I love that. He says that guy, can you smell it? Yeah. What, smell it coming upwind? He goes, I couldn't smell it. He goes, I did. Yeah. So,
and as soon as he leaves those 2 guys to protect him, you're like, A, he doesn't need protecting, and B, they're both dead.
Yeah.
It is kind of bonkers. At this point, I was almost kind of going, imagine this is Dutch pre-Predator.
Yeah.
Imagine maybe Matrix, later renamed himself, because it would make sense.
It would. I also like the fact that I think it's about 15 minutes in, you get the catchphrase that everybody uses.
Yes.
I think this is the first time I'd ever heard it.
I think so too.
Because if you look at his filmography, if you go back and look at what Arnie had made before Commando, so he'd done the Conan films, he'd done the Terminator, so maybe he said it in there, maybe.
That's what everyone seems to associate it with, isn't it, is with Terminator.
So it could, but I don't know, I have to go back and watch Terminator now, but then he says it in this, and it's a couple of years later that he makes Predator, and Running Man and that kind of thing, and Red Heat. So it's not there, it's either in the Matrix, it's either in Terminator or it's here, where Bennett has dropped him off at the airport and he says, see you later, John. And he says to Bennett, I'll be back, Bennett. And that's the first time I think I've heard it.
Apparently, according to Wikipedia, which could be a lie if Scott's had got hold of it, that he said in Terminator for the first time,
right.
But then he struggled with saying it. And he wanted to say, I will be back, because he can't say I'll because of his accent. And James Cameron wouldn't let him change it. So then it became a thing, and he started repeating it in other films. So it's in Terminator 2, he says, stay here, I'll be back. In Terminator 3, he just says, I'm back. And in The Running Man, he says, I'll be back.
There you go.
So there's 5 films that he said that in.
But it's a very early one here. So yes, he gets to use his catchphrases for the first time. It's weird watching it now.
Oh no, gosh, sorry, he's actually said it.
Yeah.
In something like 20 films.
Well, there you go, that's more
because he then basically said it in every film thereafter.
It makes sense.
According to this, it makes sense. It does make sense.
It's strange watching it, though, in 2018, a 1985 film, where some of our listeners probably weren't even alive, in which case, what's wrong with you? But equally, it's just, there are things about it, as you said, that are dated. There are things that are just really quite grim.
I think if you wanted to die from alcohol poisoning, then
Yep.
you could do a game which I call Bags of Exposition, where every time someone explains what's happening to another character, you take a drink. Because there's an awful lot of that in this film. There's an awful lot of it when they tell him what's going on. But as soon as Ray Dawn Chong's character Cindy turns up, I've ever seen quite so much exposition in one film.
Yeah.
But hey, that's how you make a film last 90 minutes instead of 2.5 hours.
It's true. You cut it down and you keep moving forward and you don't take your foot off the pedal. And Arnie works his way through some of the people very, very quickly.
He does.
And I think my favourite is what he does to Sully. Because Sully's cracking jokes and he says to Sully, "You're a funny guy, Sully. I like you. I kill you last." And then, of course, he goes after Sully first at the airport, gets him off a cliff, dangles him and goes, "I said I'd kill you last." "That's right, you did, Rich, because I did." "I lied." And then just drops him off a cliff.
And the actor who plays him is called David Patrick Kelly, and the last film he was in was John Wick 2.
Oh, who was he in John Wick 2?
I don't know. I don't know if it's one of those kind of deliberately put someone in that's, a bit of a throwback. Let's have a look on
Blink and you miss it kind of thing, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. There is someone in... There's quite a big name in this that's on screen for about 5 seconds later in the film as well. Did you notice that?
No.
Bill Paxton.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, who is he later on?
He is when they're flying.
Yep.
He's the person on the other end of the that they're talking to.
Oh, okay.
Very briefly, he's got like a sentence.
I mean, Bill Duke doesn't last long in this film either. He's had some stuff to do at the front, and then he's number 2 on the list to get knocked off.
That's true. He gets quite a good bit of a scrap.
Until, like, Cindy's line, because they're all very macho and stuff, and she's like, they're going, "These guys eat too much red meat."
Oh, I know some of the lines. Oh man,
I love it.
I kept thinking to myself, would she really stay with him? Because at first, I was quite nice. The bit where, so basically, Cindy is an air. Is she an air hostess?
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure. Air stewardess who also knows martial arts and also can fly a plane. She thinks he's a crazy guy, which you think you would, and she kind of reports him. But then he wins her trust. But then there's a point where you think, just drop her home. Just let her go home. Why is she still with you? And I do think there's the huge plot hole for me watching it again is the fact that if she didn't have a pilot's license, he couldn't actually do this.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. He would have found someone else with a pilot's license. Come on.
Excuse me. Have you got a pilot's license?
Exactly.
Maybe.
Come on. You're just picking holes now. The fact that he kills 187 people is, you could pick holes in that if you wanted. He'd be a mass murderer, but let's not pick holes. Come on.
All right. We need to start talking about Bennett.
Go on, talk about Bennett, who I'd forgotten was an Aussie.
Yes, and he's been seen in other things like Fortress, Weird Science, Mad Max 2, and he seems like he's come straight from the Mad Max set.
Right.
Because he's got his chainmail vest and he's playing it super camp.
He is, yes.
Yeah. It does. It is a bit not quite moustache twirling. And I like the fact as well the way you kind of find out his motivation is you keep me off the crew, I'm annoyed. That's kind of it. There's no, again, in other films, maybe more modern films, you'd get like a flashback or you'd get a sense that they were really close. But this is just, we've just told you that, so just believe us.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's good. It gives it cuts to the chase.
Doesn't mess around. He says, you kicked me off the team, therefore I'm going to do it for free.
Yes, exactly. He was offered $100,000, but he said he'd do it for nothing.
I'll do it for free, Matrix.
No, that sounds just like him.
He's very, very whispery and very sort of. And then he goes a bit bonkers a lot when they start fighting, doesn't he? His eyes go all wide and he goes a bit crazy. But I think that's because the character's supposed to be mad or
Going back
unstable. Go on.
Going back a step, actually, in a scene that I did remember and I do absolutely love is the bit on the plane. Matrix is sent on this, which I'd forgotten as well. Which is quite I think this is a really clever device. I'm going to guess it was Jeff Loeb's idea.
Right.
So he's got an 11-hour flight to get to the South American place to kill the president.
Yep.
And that is kind of our ticking time bomb in the film, because he isn't on the plane because he manages to get off the plane. But there's a guy who's keeping an eye on him. So the guy who's with Sully, a big black guy with a hat, he's hilariously funny. And so I love it. He's asked for a pillow, doesn't he? A pillow and a blanket.
Yes.
And then takes him out and then covers him up.
Yeah. But that ticking clock thing, it's 24 years before anyone came up with the idea.
Yeah.
Or any of the other films that they've done. Isn't there a Johnny Depp film that did it with real time as well, but an actual film?
There is, there is.
So, but this is the first time I think I've seen it, where not just you've got an hour to do this. It's no, he's got 11 hours, and then he keeps checking his watch. Yeah. So we see it on screen. We see that as soon as the plane takes off and he's on the ground, he sets 11 hours and goes, boom, right, that's it. And he says to Cindy, I've got 11 hours. This is it. I've got to do it because they're going to kill my daughter anyway.
It's very it's clever because part of you thinks, well, they've got his daughter, so he is on the back foot. But actually, no, they need him to do this thing, and it takes that long to get there. So it's very clever how it kind of it flips it around, and also it stops it being that thing that you get where there literally is a button to press for a bomb to go off, and the 30 seconds on it is about the last 20 minutes of the film.
It's true.
Whereas obviously this isn't in real time. It wasn't an 11-hour film. It was about an hour and a half. But it does. The pace fits the time scale.
Yeah, it just keeps it moving all the time. So he doesn't let up because he can't, and it just keeps driving forward. And you see that if there's ever a lull, you see the ticking clock, and you think, "Oh God, he's only got 6 hours now," And so it just keeps you moving forward, which I think was great. Really liked it.
Did she use karate on anyone at any point?
I don't think so. She mentions it right at the beginning.
Because, again, with my kind of foreshadowing hat on, I don't have a foreshadowing hat. But when he kind of says, I wish I might have to get one now.
Yes.
It would have a very big brim.
Go
on. Because, like he says, he grabs her and he goes, "Get in the car." "I can't. I have an advanced karate class at 7:30. I'm just like, why would you tell him that? Why are you telling him exactly where you're going and what time, unless you are going to later karate people? But she doesn't. I don't think. It feels like something that maybe got edited out. Maybe there was a scene of her, because that's what I think from a modern perspective is missing. She is a little bit damsel in distress, apart from the fact she can fly a plane, an amphibious plane, no less.
Although she does save him about 3 times in the film.
True. Actually, do you know what? In fairness, she has the best weapon-based scene in the film.
I mean, it's not a great role for women in this film, we'll be honest.
No.
And it starts with the daughter being kidnapped and stuff, and she doesn't have... She's not that active. It is obviously very much focused on Arnie, but
she gets out of the room that she's in.
But for a 1985 film, it's it's not bad. I would say that Cindy gets to do stuff and Jenny gets to do some stuff a little.
It's possibly the first female character I've seen use a rocket launcher, having never used one before.
Yes,
and picked it up very easily.
It's genius.
It is genius. It is genius.
Can we talk about one of my favourite scenes then that you kind of nearly touched on in this film?
Yeah.
Is the kitting out scene.
That is an absolute classic.
So, for those who've never seen this film, what's wrong with you? But at a certain point, Arnie needs to get equipment. He's going to go after the bad guys, and so he's like, right, I need to get some weapons. And he goes to an old gun shop, and it's got little rifles and things and guns at the front. And then he's looking for a button. He breaks in, by the way. And he's looking for a button, presses it under the desk, goes into the back, and it is like an arsenal in there. There's rifles and machine guns and a rocket launcher. There's mines, I think, as well, towards enemy landmines that you build in. And And she's loading the car with shopping trolleys, I think, full of guns, which was genius. I just love that. She's just like, yeah, another trolley full of guns. Yeah,
it's like military supermarket sweep.
It is. It really is. And then he gets completely strapped up with grenades and guns and paints his face. I don't know. He doesn't paint his face.
No, that's later. No, that's when he gets onto the bit. That is the thing I definitely notice about this film, and I am nitpicking a bit. I'm sorry, but in a way, the film is the parts are greater than the sum of the whole, because there are some amazing, iconic scenes in this that are things you will always stay with you. And I think one of them is the rocket launcher scene, but also him just turning up on the beach, topless in a dinghy.
Yep.
And then, again, it's you feel like you've seen it in other... Well, I think other films have lifted things from this film a lot over the years. In some of the things, again, watching it again, I was like, oh, it's quite cliche. There's all these tropes, but I think some of those tropes came from this film.
Yes.
And they've just become what you expect to see in action movies.
Yeah. He did it first in the 80s. This is it. Yeah. People are just bringing things back. And so we have to remember that when we watched it and say, yes, it's 2018 now, but at the time, no one had done this before. No one had done that completely kitting out scene. I mean, people have parodied it all for years, right through to things like Hot Shots. And maybe... Stallone had done it in one of the Rambo films, perhaps, but not to this degree, where he completely covers himself with weapons, and he does it a second time, as you said, when he gets out of the dinghy and then paints himself. That's the kind of climax that we were robbed of the first time when he starts putting on kit.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But he is a one-man army. He is a one-man army in this film.
And I think it's not just him that gets some great, well, let's say great lines, but they're lines that work. Like you say, these guys eat too much red meat during the obligatory fall through a wall and see people having sex in a motel scene, which again is a massive trope, and you see it in Universal Soldier and lots of other films. But I think again that is one of the things that kind of came from here. But you get even things like he's one gigantic motherfucker.
They say that a lot in this film.
Yeah. They do.
They swear a lot.
They do swear a lot. They do swear a lot.
But I tell you what, that scene though, when they burst through the wall, throws Bill Duke through an adjoining door into the next bedroom, as you say, this couple having sex. I was watching it, I thought, why is there a video camera on a tripod?
Oh.
I was like, I don't remember that.
Stephen, let's talk.
I just looked at it and thought, wait, what? I went back and I was like, no, I didn't imagine it. It's strange things you notice, like the glass bricks in the bedroom, in the toilet, that kind of dividing wall they always had in motels with giant glass bricks. I was just like, I'd forgotten about them. They were either
the characters were filming themselves, or to make the budget work, they were filming porn on the same set at the same time. It's one of those.
Go with the former.
But again, I'm suddenly thinking, I was sat watching this with my nan. And I was like, oh yeah, gosh, can't believe that guy's just been killed with the leg of a table. But actually, maybe there's more. Yeah, exactly. Well, I eat green berries for breakfast, and right now I'm very hungry.
That's another classic line. Yes. And she does say, I can't stand all this macho bullshit.
Yeah.
So it's tongue in cheek. She's mocking them for their over the topness already, which is quite nice.
Yeah. Did you kill Sully? I let him go.
It's very good. It's very
well, I put it here, this is like Taken turned up to 11. That's one of my notes.
Taken?
Yeah, well, kind of, because you're going after, kind of, but in a much more tongue-in-cheek. Because I don't think that Liam Neeson swung like Tarzan through a
shopping mall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like the way when she kind of rattles off all the things that have happened to her that he's done in the first few seconds. And then she asks him, "Are you going to tell me what's going on?" And he just goes, "No." That's it. It's like, wow. I do a lot. She's like, no. What do you mean? She's incredulous at his...
I do think the most on the nose bit of exposition / pointless dialogue is a line that it just made me laugh watching it again. Where she just turns to him in the warehouse and goes, "Look, here is a photo of an amphibious aircraft." It's like, who speaks like that? I don't know. You just say, look at this. It doesn't. Look, this is a photo of an amphibious aircraft. It just
TC-7176AR. Amphibious aircraft. Wow, you are correct.
He's military. I could see it was an amphibious aircraft.
Maybe it's because she's a pilot in training.
Maybe, and she was like, that's why she wanted to tell him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she knows what she's doing.
Exactly.
Are we going to talk about the final fight? Well, the penultimate final fight in the garden.
Well, I think we should talk about the rocket launcher first.
Go on then.
Because it's so we said about kind of getting everything, loading up with all the weapons, and she's like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Rocket launcher." And then the police turn up and he's taken away, and I'd forgotten what happened here completely. And I was like, "Oh, no. He's been taken away." It feels like the right part in the story for him to have to be a bit down. Is like, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? It's going to be a little bit where he's often locked up somewhere or something. And then she literally, I don't know how she I don't know how she lifted the rocket launcher. B, I don't know how she aimed the rocket launcher. And C, I don't know how she fired the rocket launcher. But she did. And she blew up the police wagon and flipped it over on a second shot, actually.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, because she gets it wrong the first time.
That is true. She
fires it backwards.
She hadn't read the instructions.
She had it on back to front, fired it and she takes out something else instead. And then they notice that there's someone firing a rocket launcher in the rear view mirror, panic, try to drive away, and she shoots the vehicle, which is very, very, very dangerous given that she could have killed him in it as well.
Yes, I did think that was, yeah.
I mean, she's just proven her aim isn't brilliant. So, could you not just shoot out a tyre with a handgun? Maybe a bit less. Anyway, but it's a fun scene.
It is a fun scene.
I like the way she just fires it and flies back into the back seat. Because it's huge. It's just huge. When he puts it on his shoulder, you're like, yeah, it makes sense for Arnie to have it. When she holds it, she's quite a small woman. It's like, man, that's almost as long as her.
I think the kickback would probably put her into the next city.
It's true. Yeah.
But I think around this point as well, it's because I'm glad that scene happened when it did, because there's a little bit of a boring patch, which is weird for an hour and 30-minute film, which is full of great scenes and big kind of fight scenes and loads of shooting. Yeah. There is kind of a little bit when they're kind of working out the clues. It does drag a little bit. So actually this bit was good for it to kick back on. Also the daughter, I think she escapes from the room she's in, doesn't she, at this point? Which reminded me a bit of White House Down, which I don't think you've seen, so I shall say no more. And then it is. We are rattling through this, but actually we're not doing it in order anyway. But it is that kind of, apart from the bit I just said, a relentless pace.
Yes.
So, and it does. she struggles to fly this amphibious aircraft, despite having seen a photo of it earlier.
That's all she needs. That's all she needs.
And then flies, and she lands, and he kind of leaves her. And I'm glad they got reunited later, because it's almost like, yeah, thanks for the lift, love. I didn't take you home earlier. Oh, by the way, you now live in the sea. I'm off. But I didn't realise she's actually doing say the name of the film thing, where she's the one giving the call sign Commando, isn't she, to get the authorities to come and
that's right,
clear up the bodies, basically. I
do like it early in the film, though, like when right at the beginning, General Kirby's come to see him, and then he's flown off, and then, of course, he hears there's all the problems, comes back, and there's a couple of bodies there, and the guy says, do you think Matrix did this? And he goes, yeah. Think he's still alive? He goes, well, if there is, there'll be a lot more bodies. So they set it up really early. Yeah. And then, of course, he kills Sully, then he kills kills the guy in the plane, then he kills Sully, then he kills Bill Duke, and it just goes on from there, and it's like, yeah, it's just a trail of corpses that he's leaving for General Kirby to, one, cover up, and two, follow to find where he is.
And I do like the fact that the opening premise is that his team have all been killed, and they fake Bennett's death for about 10 minutes, and then you find out that Bennett is one of the ones that are behind it. I think that's really kind of neat, which because it's not just it. There's the fact that he's got to rescue his daughter, but he's also kind of getting revenge for all of his crew, really.
Who actually died or killed by these other people, apart from Bennett, who's working with the enemy, who've been kicked out, of course, because he loved killing too much.
So at this point, I think they find the plane lands, because we're right at the near 11 hours.
Yeah.
So they find out that he wasn't on there. So the things start to shift a little bit. So he's right, we're going to go and kill the girl. That's what we said we're going to do. But that's because she's escaped and off running through. Well, she's run where everyone would run in these kind of films. You always run down to the basement and look for the boiler room.
That's right.
But again, that could be something that's become a trope because of this film. But that's where she heads.
I do like the fact when the bad guy says, "Oh, you'll be reunited with your father. Won't you like? Wouldn't that be nice?" And she goes, "Not as nearly as nice to watch me smash in your face." That's like, yes, that's the kind of daughter that I want.
Yeah. It reminds me a bit of the daughter in Last Boy Scout.
Right.
Because she's got that same kind of wisecracking kind of thing going on as well.
Well, this was all first, remember? So
this is true, and
from this.
That is also true. I put here, this is kind of like a domestic version of Rambo, and no one can shoot him like the A-Team. There's an awful lot of people with machine guns shooting at one man running along.
Yep.
I know, he's chipping, and he's a large man. He's quite a big target, but he's killing people easily. I think would be that. There's a lot of them. They're all army trained. He does a double knife throw.
That's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, machine gun, blowing people up. At one point, he's stuck in a building.
Yeah,
because an outhouse kind of thing, and you think it's all going to go a bit kind of A-teamy, but he just breaks through and yeah, you never really think he's in jeopardy, but in a good way, if you know what I mean. You're not worried about him, but you don't want to be worried about him.
No, he's completely unstoppable.
Oh, that's right. No, sorry. When he goes in the shed, he starts to improvise, doesn't he? Which ties quite nicely to him being a man of the mountains.
Yes.
Because he's grabbed saw blades, axes, and probably one of my favourite arm chopping off scenes.
Right.
It's just a quick. He just jumps out and just cuts a guy's arm off.
Yep.
It's brutal, but funny.
Gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that done. That's dealt with.
The other thing that I love about this that I'd forgotten is it happened a lot in films after this, especially with Arnie and other people, but the sound effects. It's got the best punching sound effect you'll see in films. They've used the same one for years in other places, but it's so good here. It's that really loud, heavy, thwacking sound when he punches someone in the face, whether it's a security guard, whether it's one of these people that he's fighting later on, whether it's Bennett. It's such a good noise.
I think the sound of, like you say, the sound effects really come into their own. The final fight with Bennett, when they're kind of trading punches, it's I think it's up there with Rocky in terms of kind of the punch sounds, definitely. And it's a really good, even though the villain I think is a bit shit, really, it's a good end. I don't for a minute think that he could beat Arnie, but it's still a good end. So he's killed pretty much everybody. And he's running around, obviously, looking for his daughter, shouting Jenny a lot. And she's being chased by him, isn't she? Chased by Bennett through these kind of corridors underground.
If I had any criticism of this film, it's well, not necessarily the guy playing Bennett, but how he's playing the role of Bennett, I think. That it's, as camp and silly and over the top as the film is at times, his level of being bonkers is just a little bit too much.
It's a little bit too arch, isn't it? Because and it makes him lose credibility. You want him to be a bit scarier, I think. Yeah. And I think you could still do within the tongue-in-cheekness of this film. I think you could still do that personally. But
I mean, their fight scene, it's okay. It's not great, but the rest of the film, I think, as you say, makes up for it with other bits that are stronger. Like I think the bit in the garden where he kills about 72 men with weapons, guns, knives.
The idea of the fight is good. Yeah. So there's Matrix kind of walks out, and he obviously knows Bennett well because he worked with him. He knows he's kind of ego driven and revenge driven. So he's throw away that chicken shit gun. Let the girl go and make it just about you and me. And you just think, well, that's not going to work. He's not going to do that, is he? He's going to get rid of his leverage. But because he knows what to say and who to say it to, let's party.
You want to stick a knife
he does fall for it.
There's a knife. Turns.
Yes. It's great. Austrian versus Australian.
Yep.
Good Scrabble word triple score. And they start with knives, then it goes to wrenches, then it goes to pipes. And then... there's a good bit where he pushes him against like an electrical thing, and Bennett is completely electrocuted.
Yes.
To the point I think he'd be fried, and he just kind of bounces back
Comes
and
back
then
stronger.
starts punching him in the back.
Yeah.
Which proves he's the villain, because that's not very nice, and it's not Queensberry rules at all.
Punch you in the back of the head. Get off.
It's not nice. And then he gets a big pipe thrown through him.
Yes. Does he say chill out? I can't remember.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
That's it. There you go. Let off some steam. Brilliant.
And again, it's got a great opening because it's so kind of quick and 80s. And similarly, the end, because he walks to the beach, he's got his arm around his daughter, everything's fine. She's just seen millions of people die, but everything's fine. He walks away. And then
Gerald Kirby arrives.
Yeah, and he's like, well, do you want...
Looks like World War III here, John.
Yeah, you should start the old unit up again. It's like, yeah. So he goes, no, it's the last time. And then he just walks off, puts his arm around Cindy. The first guitar twang of the soft rock song comes in, and he just turns to camera and goes, no chance.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's what, like 90 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, it's a quick 90 minutes, really. It's because the premise is set up so quickly.
Yeah.
And the characters are so kind of not two-dimensional, but they are what they are, if you know what I mean. There's no hidden, there's no twists, there's no turns, there's no hidden stuff. It's just, this happens to this man. He's really good at what he does, which has become that's become a thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's virtually impossible to kill. You've crossed the wrong guy, you idiots. You're all going to die.
And the thing is, people might look at this and say, oh, well, it's dated and it's silly and it's ridiculous. How many of these films are out now with Denzel Washington, with Mel Gibson did a few, Bruce Willis is now doing a few, and he did a few before. Don't forget all the Taken films, as we've said.
Well, the thing is, like, everyone always says Die Hard became a genre. So it was like Die Hard on a bus, Die Hard on a boat. But in a way, this did that first.
Mm.
A guy trained a bit differently, because I guess John McClane is more of an everyman. But the other films that have always been labelled as, or it's a bit like Die Hard, tend to be somebody who's ex-military, whose family are in jeopardy.
Steven Seagal on a sub, on a boat, on a plane.
So this is, in a way, the precursor for those films, in a way, more than Die Hard.
Yeah.
I think Die Hard was because it did so well. But that's also Joel Silver produced, I believe, and I think so is this.
Yes, it is.
You're
correct.
Yeah, so it's... Yeah, I guess it's the
Rambo. It's the archetype of a retired military person getting into trouble and succeeding against the odds. Or later it became the slightly older military person, ex-military or special forces, where it might be. And that's where we got all of the things from, Taken upwards that started it again with various levels of success that spun off into TV shows in some cases and stuff. And, the Lethal Weapons and all this kind of thing. Last Boy Scout, as you mentioned. So, but this is one of the precursors. It
is the prototype in many ways. And I think that some of the flaws it's got is just because it was the first time, and it had a very particular tone. And then I guess over time things got refined in different ways. But I mean, Arnie's very good in this film, and his physicality in particular. But he goes on to be much better, I think.
Oh, yeah.
His range extends. There's a couple of Arnie films we need to do, Running Man, and we need to do True Lies at some point. But anyway, because we haven't done that many Arnie films, I don't think, overall. Maybe he's just done so many films.
It's true.
But, yeah.
It's true. Right. So, shall we get on to some scores?
Yeah.
You're a funny guy. Enough with the yakety yak. What is your score?
Okay, shall I go first, or do you want to?
Yeah, go on, you go first, yes.
So it has been a long time since I've seen this, but I have seen it a lot, and if it ever comes on TV, I will stop and watch a good chunk of it. It moves very fast. It was the precursor, as we said, and the model for many other things. Do you know when slight tangent, but not really. We know when the sci-fi film John Carter of Mars came out. not that long ago, and people complained that basically it was a copy of a whole bunch of other things. It was full of cliches and stereotypes that we'd seen 100 times before. The irony being that the John Carter of Mars novels were the originals that inspired all of it. Now, true, the film, yes, was out after many of the other ones, but it was the original. And this is in the same way, rewatching this, I had to keep that in mind that, yes, I've probably seen bits of this a billion times before, but this was one of the first ones to do it. So watching it with that kind of a mindset, I really, really enjoyed it. There's bits I'd forgotten. Some of the dialogue is a bit squeaky. Some of it still makes me laugh. The one-liners, hearing Arnie deliver them before they became a thing that he'll just say was really good. A couple of bits like Bennett, I was like, I'd forgotten how camp and odd he is. I'd forgotten the Aussie part of, that he's an Aussie accent and all that. Anyway, but I don't know, I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to give it 4 because it was really good, but it's not quite a 5-bagger as some of them that we've had that were absolutely tip-top.
Okay. That makes sense. So I think I've enjoyed talking about it, and it's made, again, I don't think I did what you've just said, which is to remember that it's the first. So when I was a part of it, I was like, I was, groaning a little bit watching it. But then there were other times I was grinning like a Cheshire cat because some of those scenes, I think, for the one-liners, for the iconic moments, I think it's got an amazing start and an amazing end. But there's some bits in the middle which I think is where it loses its way a bit, which is a challenge in a 90-minute film in a way. Indie Roll annoyed me in 1986 when I saw it, and it still annoys me a little bit now. But I think you're right. If you compare it to other films of the time, she'd have been a love interest, which is kind of hinted at the end, maybe, but not too much. Maybe. And she probably would have been naked, and do you know what I mean? It would have been very different. I think this actually was quite progressive when you look at it now. It is OTT, but it's not unintentional. Because at first I was like, so much of this is just heightened. But it is part of, like, switch your brain off, just enjoy it kind of movie. And I think it was Arnie's kind of first chance to carry a film as a hero, which is a wonderful thing. But I've still got some slight reservations, and particularly Bennett, as you said. So I'm going to give it 3 bags. Okay.
So it was made for $10 million. And which sounds ridiculous these days. However, that's how much it was made for at the time, and it made about 50 million, I think, something like that. So it did really, really well, given that kind of period. It made 57 million. So
if it was around now, they'd have made at least 4
million.
No, 4 films.
Right.
I think they would have made. They would have made at least 4. We are in the age of the franchise.
True.
So anything that makes money has to have sequels.
Yeah.
And they would have flogged this. The 3rd or 4th film would have been like his son or his nephew, or a guy he once met at the bus stop. But never mind.
Wasn't that Die Hard 7?
I haven't seen the most recent. I haven't seen the most recent Die Hard.
I couldn't bear myself to watch it after. I think it was 5. I couldn't stand, or 4. I don't know.
4. I saw 4 and didn't watch 5. Oof. So,
it was not good. It was not good. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed it, despite some of its flaws. So.
Yeah, I didn't realise that I hadn't seen it as many times as I thought. But there
Twice,
we are.
Wow.
Yeah, well, yeah. Once in my nan, once on my own.
Slightly uncomfortable in both of them. Both viewings for different reasons.
True.
So, let's pick a film for next time. I'm going to change my mind.
Have you?
I've changed my mind. It's my turn to choose, and having heard you just talk about, we haven't done many Arnie films.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking,
nice.
You know what? I really do want to watch another one. So
I could watch Arnie films all day, every day, if I was allowed to.
It's true. Now, I don't think we've done this film, but I can't watch this one because it is one that I've seen probably more times than Commando, and that's Red Heat. Did we do that in the previous episode?
We've done Red Heat.
Oh, we did.
We did Red Heat. That's what I was thinking. We've done Red Heat. We've done Red Heat, and we've done Last Action Hero. and
Yes. Okay.
we haven't done Predator because Predator was on another show, which is what led to the show being created.
I thought we did do Predator.
Or did we do Predator?
Yes. Yeah, we did. Anyway, right.
Did we?
Yes. We must have. We'll go back and
I guess we've done the... No, we... Yeah, okay. We haven't done Jingle All the Way. I know that for certain.
That's for sure. Yeah, I'm not picking that one. So I'm going to give you two... Well, there's two things, and I'm going to actually flip a coin for them. Live on air, as it were. Right?
What kind of coin is it, please?
It's a 20 pence piece.
20 pence, please.
Does that help?
Okay.
Does that help?
It does.
Okay.
It does.
So one of the films is a 1986 film, Raw Deal. Ooh. Have you seen that in a while?
I know. I think I saw that. I don't even... Maybe I haven't... I get that and Commando muddled up, so...
Okay. And the other one is the 1994 film as Harry Tusker, True Lies. Okay, so...
I've seen that one quite a lot.
Okay, so Heads is True Lies.
Okay.
Tails is Raw Deal. Here we go. Ready? Flip. Ooh. Oh, and it's Tails. What did I say Tails was?
I can't remember.
Raw Deal. Raw Deal. I said it's Raw Deal. Yeah. So it's Raw Deal.
Okay.
I dropped the coin and picked it up. It was Tails. So there you go.
Is Bill Duke in Raw Deal as well?
I don't think so. No. As far as I know. A quick look. Quick look says no, he's not, according to IMDb.
Okay.
But, so this
he's
is
got
the
the
one.
slick back hair.
Yes, this is the one where he goes undercover, I believe. Yes, he has to smuggle. Former FBI turned small town sheriff agrees to help the FBI infiltrate the mafia. There you go. You see, probably not seen this, then, have you?
I think I have seen it.
Okay.
But probably, again, just the once. Maybe I had seen Commando twice before, actually, thinking about it. But I think I've seen this once before. I have a vague recollection. Again, possibly also with my nan.
There's a connection to Die Hard as well.
Is there?
Yeah, well, we'll come on to that. We'll come on. That's a little teaser there for next episode. Okay. So, have you seen Commando? Is it a favourite? Did you like it? Have you seen it recently, and what did you think of it? Let us know. Come on to the Facebook group. You can email us, bagsofaction@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter. And, of course, you can support this podcast and all of the others on the Geek Syndicate network by going to patreon.com/Geek Syndicate to help keep the lights on and the running costs. That would be great.
Thank you. And to buy me some trousers.
And to buy me some trousers, for love of God. For love of God.
How many bags?
Shipping a pound a day. So...
Yes. Oh, the good thing about Raw Deal, Sven Ole Thorsen is in it. However, he is uncredited playing Bearded Bodyguard.
Of course he is. Bearded Bodyguard.
That's a name for a film. We've got to write a film together called Bearded Bodyguard. Let's do that.
They've just done the Bodyguard Hitman, whatever it's called.
No, Bearded Bodyguard. That's it. Bagsies. No listeners can take that. That's it. We're making it.
Sorry, that's it. It's ours now.
Yeah.
That's it. Cool. Right. So that's the end of this episode. And Pete, if you'd like to wrap us up, can you remember what we now say at the end of the show?
Thank you for listening, if indeed you still are.
Good night.
Good night.
You have been listening to Bags of Action. No bullshit. You'd better stick around for the next episode, because if you're lying, I'll be back.